Guys, this is Abe Gurko. You may know him as Won't Be Silent. He is that crazy guy on TikTok. I'm sure you've seen his videos, but let's just get right into it because Abe, I really like your take on just the way you cut through politics, but you do it in a fun way. And maybe I think, do you think the more politicians need to get on apps like TikTok? Do you think social media is the best way to communicate with voters? Or like we were just talking about previously, do we need to return more to in the 60s when people were out protesting on the streets in person? Like, is the online platforms as powerful as in person, or what do you think?
I think that, there's always that expression, it's never one thing. I think that there's nothing like protest. I mean, if you think back to when they were putting the kids in the concentration camps at the US border, and then Indivisible organized 700 marches and protests all around the country. Like here in West Hollywood, when I was living in West Hollywood at the time, it was the most moving, it was incredible. And it came together like that, And what about the Women's March when Trump was, inaugurated? There was nothing like, I don't know if you were down in LA. You were, of course, were in LA for that.
Oh yeah, I was in LA, but never participated in. I've always been kind of like a pussy when it comes to protesting.
I have to tell you, I have not been moved. We were crying. Like, I've never taken the subway in Los Angeles.
Oh, I've never.
But the only way you could get downtown was the subway. And it was like almost like being in Japan. I've ever been to Japan when everyone's like worse than even the New York subways. And there was so much love in the air, and it was just emotional. And everybody was like, yeah, I've not experienced that. It was on the level of protesting the Vietnam War, which is something very specific that I would do. And we marched for gay rights and for AIDS funding. There's something to be said about seeing people in the streets. I think the thing about social media, and I can only speak more specifically for TikTok, is that I feel like the politicians don't fully grasp the power of TikTok. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to prove that point. Like, I've been in touch with DNC and No Dem Left Behind, and with Run for Something, trying to explain that the people that I email, like you got my email today for that.
Yeah, those are great.
I have like 100 people that I have connected with over leading into the 2020 election. Mm-hmm. We have 80 million followers, if not more by now, since I did that last count, among us, more.
Right.
And on top of that, I mean, I alone have 14 million likes. That's like a lot of times people agree with you.
No, in all seriousness, let me interject. I believe that is what, someone like Jamie Harrison or the Biden White House, they have I keep saying they have the goods, like they have the product, which is the hardest part, the policies, but someone's got to bark it out. Like we need a Tucker Carlson on the left, like a good, not a propagandist, but a good guy to shout from the megaphone.
No, I think you could pull that off because your enthusiasm is really, I mean, you came out of left field and you're a voice to be reckoned with. And that's something that I think you need to focus on and harness and figure out how to keep that moving, because, like somebody like me, I'm not going to speak to the young people I'm speaking to you. I mean, I have much more of my followers are of an age bracket that's a little more like committed to not wanting to be part of a fascist, world,
Right.
But I think DNC has missed the opportunity. I think Jamie Harrison is an embarrassment. I think he could have never been offered that job. And it's part of this political correctness of people of color that puts us in a situation where you can't put the wrong person for the job just because it fits the mold of the moment. We have to be realistic with, we need to win, and it's win at all costs, and it's win über alles to me, and it should have been Stacey Abrams, although I don't think she wanted the job, to be honest.
No, we do. Yeah, we need it. We need a Barker, and we need more people who are trying to win as opposed to please their. I don't know. What was I was just going to bring up. You're talking about how people are, but young people wouldn't listen to you. But I think all young people are on these platforms listening, and even at least in my real life, I've noticed a lot more young people they tend to fall into the progressive Bernie bro trap of the third party. They hate the establishment. And I just try to I don't even know if my message is connecting, but I'm like, guys, if you're supporting someone like Andrew Yang, you're supporting the fascist Republicans. These candidates will never win. They're so easy to campaign against, and it scares the moderates away. So I feel like I'm on an island, maybe. I know that, there are more young Democrats, but it's very like, I feel sometimes like, oh gosh, aside from, maybe the generation above me, the young people are gravitating towards these third party candidates who are really just propping up the Republican Party. What do you think about Andrew Yang and his new Forward Party?
I mean, it's been the conversation all week, of course. I think that I'm trying to hear, I'm listening to different points of view on that.
Yep.
I feel his motivation is very ego-driven, and that bothers me. Christy Whitman was my governor when I lived in New Jersey when I was, years in the 90s, whatever. So whatever with her. I don't necessarily like her, so I don't know that her being at the head of the table is somewhere I want to cut bread. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I feel like, here's what I think. I think on January 17th, 2017, all the Never Trumpers should have immediately become independents, and they should have started farming the best of their people, because there's some fabulous Never Trumpers. In fact, I get more information from the Never Trumpers. I was telling you, the podcast that I am very loyal to is The Bulwark and I Beg to Differ. And these are just smart people who just were never going to vote for Trump from the second they heard him bluster. And yet they're conservative enough, and they're smart enough, and they're educated enough that somebody like me, I'm willing to learn. And the fact that they missed that huge opportunity, because not for 22, but if they had done that then, by 24, we would have had not necessarily an independent party. It exists, but it's always failing because no one's cultivating it and nurturing it and, goosing it along, because so many Republicans and so many Democrats would have followed suit. So now here we are, and everyone's like, oh my God, 24. I'm not even thinking of 24.
No.
And the Forward Party is just going to be something for them to fundraise. It's I guess everyone's kind of jealous that Trump so easily coughs up money from people. You know what I mean? So
greatest job in the world.
You could start something and start raising money in 5 minutes.
Stop the Steele Fund, 250 million. Yeah.
What is your major? What are you majoring in?
Well, I majored political science at UCLA.
Great. Do you want to go into politics?
I mean, I maybe would like to go in, but perhaps from the side of the media, because I think the media actually holds a lot more sway and more influence over. I think they're very responsible for creating Donald Trump in the worst way. And I think right now the media is really responsible for trying to play this both sides game where they attack Biden just as much as they attack Trump, when you can't do that. Yeah. So you can't compare. One of them is a fascist wannabe dictator, and the other one's perhaps an established Democrat, but he's doing great things for the country. And so yeah, maybe I'd like to get in and keep staying loud on these media platforms to try to counteract, like what you're saying. The media is now, all they talk about is 2024. Oh, Gavin Newsom, Pete Buttigieg. Who cares?
Pete Buttigieg, they want to take away his rights. You think he's winning it? Don't even fucking mention his name. Yeah. I like him, but
I like him too.
It's like, my mother has as good a chance of winning, and she's no longer even with us.
Do you think that they would I just care, how far do you think the Republicans would take it? Like, I believe they're the worst people ever, and they would criminalize gay marriage. They would outlaw. They will barge into your house, and if you're having sex with someone of the same sex, you will be arrested and handcuffed in a Republican world. Some people think I'm over.
No, you want to know something, honey? I happen to be married. I dare you to come to my front door. I dare any friggin' Republican moron to try to take away what I have fought hard for. And I come from a place not only from gay rights. My mom survived Dachau. My father survived the gulags and the underground during World War II. Don't think any of this is going backwards. While I'm alive anyway, you know. I mean, what happens when I'm no longer here? It's like kiddies, you know what I mean? But they don't know who they're dealing with, and they don't understand that what they're doing now, especially the bad choices they made, like not funding the veterans' health care,
right?
Taking away women's rights. That's not the majority. The Christian nationalists, it's not something new. It has failed time and time again.
Mm-hmm.
So of course it's going to pick up steam because, you know, the insanity of Christianity, Christian nationalists. I hate, you know, you always get in trouble if you say, oh, you're fucking Christian. They're like, no, I'm a Christian and I love God. It's like
right, come on.
You need a better publicist, honey, because as long as it's under the umbrella of Christian nationalists, then whatever you stand for, you've officially lost it. You know?
Yeah, like I can't come out and say I'm a Jewish nationalist. They would kill me there.
Oh yeah, but you know, I've never been prouder to be gay, Jewish, American.
Yeah,
you know I mean? Never been, and I dare anyone to come within eye shot of me.
Do you think it's scary for? Do you think like
young people, you mean?
Back to when you were young? I don't know what your story, like, you know, back in school, right? Would it be scary for perhaps someone who's still like in school under these Republican school crackdowns or are we just saying, oh, it's the government, they're not gonna, it's all talk, but then I believe they will crack down on the LGBTQ community.
You know what? I'm telling you, I live my life this way, and I'm glad I do. There is nothing to fear but fear itself. No one has the rights to contradict how you want to live your life, you know? And when it was that way, when we were fighting for rights and we got, you know, just be able to walk down the street and feel like you could have your arm around somebody without, you know, fear of any kind of retribution. I mean, it used to be illegal. That's not going back. It's just not going back. There's too many. First of all, have you met how many have you met any, there's like more people on like RuPaul, you know, like whatever, that are gonna like take their heels out and start, I mean, you're fucking with the wrong people.
And let me, okay, you said, yeah, I agree. There are a lot more people in the community than maybe they even like to acknowledge, particularly probably on the Republican side too. I've seen some of your videos where, you know, let's be honest, about Josh Hawley's book about manhood, or Lindsey Graham, or what do you think, like, are they it's like they're, I can't say it out loud, but these people to me do their voters care that they are exuding this, like, you know what I'm, because we saw Madison Cawthorn, the Republicans released that tape of Cawthorn, and it, rest in peace, he lost in a landslide. So would this maybe be a good strategy for Democrats to engage in some Machiavellian, like, dark politics?
I try my hardest. You know what I mean? I mean, I just think Josh Hawley is as gay as a goose. I mean, I have decent gaydar, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I sense that a mile away. I mean, did you see he actually had cheeks done? Go look at that picture. The week you're coming out with the book Manhood, it's like he had just gone to the dermatologist and had like Juvederm put in because I mean, it's like he's as Nelly can be.
And he
proved me wrong. You know what I mean? Like, prove me wrong. Which by the way, this whole idea of saying alleged, I think the word alleged is the most overused word in the world. Everyone's so afraid of getting sued or whatever.
Oh yeah, you can't call Matt Gaetz alleged child sex trafficker.
Oh yeah, like alleged my ass. You know?
Well, hey, but that's again another one of the where are the goddamn legal consequences for Matt Gaetz or Donald Trump or any of these Republicans who committed crimes? And I think that perpetuates a lot more of the problems in our country. There's no consequences for the terrorists.
Well, I think two things. I think this country, when it comes to rich white men, there's just not really much by way of accountability. Look at the banking, what happened in 2008. Nobody went to jail.
No.
Millions of lives were destroyed. No accountability. So, I mean, how many more times does Donald Trump have to break the law today in order for him to go to jail? I don't know. He just broke the law, this thing with using the presidential seal for his stupid golf thing.
All right, that's 6 months.
6 months in jail. Yep. I mean, by the amount of years he's already racked up that he should be already in jail, with like supersedes how old he is. You know what I mean?
And on top, he's playing golf, hosting the Saudi Arabians. He's taking blood money, and he just buried his ex-wife Ivana on the golf course, which is who he used to get out of his deposition with Letitia James 2 Fridays ago, because he was quote unquote grieving. It's like this guy is stomping all over the rule of law.
Also stomping all over her grave now by teeing off right over her. She's not even cold in the fucking ground yet, and he's like teeing off on her. Yeah. You know what? I don't know if I'm going to get to enjoy watching him get carted off in handcuffs moment that I'm so desperate for.
Yeah.
But I will say that I think some of his henchmen are going down.
Oh yeah, John Eastman, Bannon.
Yeah, I mean, there's a great series on, in case because you're alive for it, but there's a great series on Showtime.
Yeah,
it stars with Julia Roberts. It's about the Watergate thing, and it's really informative, and I really get to see how the Republican Party has not changed
at all. So okay,
but there was one thing about honor that still was part of the party, which is why Nixon ended up getting outed. You know what I mean?
Like from your perspective, then, like you don't think the Republican Party's changed much? Is it perhaps are we not overreacting to this fascist movement, or have they always just represented pure evil and anti-democratic values? Right?
No, I mean, I think that they have always been manipulative, horrible people since the Reagan, horrible, But I think this fascist component is a direct response to Trump. And I don't even think it's him as much as he's allowed the people that have come out of the woodwork, Marjorie Taylor Greens, these people that would have otherwise never had a platform. It's like, if he didn't win, let's say whatever other Republican had won instead of Trump in 2016, forget about Hillary.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have led the floodgates to this kind of fascism. He studied Hitler.
Yes.
He had Mein Kampf as probably the only book he ever read or thumbed through.
Cliff notes or something.
Cliff notes, yeah. But so, I mean, we're talking about someone that is just, he's like a wannabe Don Corleone. You know what I mean? Yeah. I call him Don Corleone without the good food. You know what I mean?
But I actually, I think of him not as a Don Corleone, as more of an Adolf Hitler type, Mussolini type, Peter the Great. He's ruthless, and he is well studied too. So that's the other thing that I've brought this up before, and people say, oh, he's a circus, he's a buffoon. No. This man is calculated. in dog whistling to the worst kinds of people. He's great at drudging them up from, like you said, out of their rocks into the public square.
He's the one that told everyone to delete your text, delete. He's at the top of that.
Yeah.
And just the fact that nobody's real. I mean, if you go back to like everything from January 6th on for the first 2 weeks of my of my TikToks,
yeah,
I was like so deep and obsessed crazy about this. I mean, of course, every branch of the government was involved and covered it up. Of course that happened because, oh no, we didn't know. Like, how can you know what I mean? We knew before it happened.
We knew so long ago.
We knew way before. Anyway, it's just, so to me, it's kind of like it's like watching a rerun of like the worst fucking movie. You know what I mean?
The end of America. Yeah, and I think what do you like Merrick Garland to me? I've just gone back and forth, and like he gives his speech that, oh, I'm gonna hold people above the law, but then every the longer he waits, the worse it gets. And
I'll put it to you this way: I try to live my life with minimized expectations of others, starting with Merrick Garland. I just feel like I was just talking about it, my neighbor, about like being in a relationship. You know, you have to really minimize what your expectation is of your partner in terms of how they're going to react, whatever it is happening in your life, because you're living your life, they're living their life, you know. So I feel that's in that same theory that we all had so much expectation of Mueller that came up with the big nothing, even though technically it wasn't nothing.
Yeah.
But like, either it is or it isn't. Make up your fucking mind. If you broke the law, put him in jail. By the way, I don't understand the whole idea of you're found guilty of something in court and then you have to hang out for 6 months before you go to jail.
It's ridiculous.
The most ridiculous thing in the world. Giving Steve Bannon that platform for 6 months leading up to the election to create those lunatics, to go goose them up, to like, it's going to be like those, you know, did you see the movie Young Frankenstein?
I know I didn't.
It's hilarious. But like when Frankenstein's out and they find out that he kills somebody, it's like the townspeople with pitchforks.
That is what they're doing. He's riling them up. He's talking to him, and he's inciting more. He's talking about sending shock troops to the White House to like put Fauci's head on a pike. He can't make this. This is all criminal. But I guess we're the powerless citizens. But I think that's why we stay loud on.
But we have to say alleged to a sex criminal. You know what I'm saying? This guy's saying put the guy's spike on the head, and it's fine. It just makes no sense.
Right.
Like, it's this no accountability culture, which is why I keep saying stuff that I say, which is like, I want the Black Panthers to come back together. I want the Jewish Defense League to get their shit back together. And I want us to arm up and get ready because, honey, the war that's going to happen in the streets that you're starting is going to be, you guys are going to lose. I was bused to an all-black high school, honey. I want to be on their side. That's all I'm saying.
I agree. These people, they're, well, they do have the Kyle Rittenhouses on their side who are just...
You can have all the white, wussy, you know, bad-skinned white people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Give me the people from the streets any day of the week.
Right.
Nothing dirtier than a street fighter, and there's no one safer I'd want to stand behind than that one.
Do you think it could, like, I'm assuming from what you're saying, you don't think it could escalate to something along the lines of like a Civil War style?
No, I definitely think there'll be certain skirmishes and violence.
Yeah, certainly.
I mean, we're seeing it in schools. Why shouldn't we see it? Why shouldn't it be in the street? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's the same people, the same crazed people.
Same Trumpers.
Yeah.
And how do you, that's my other thing. Shouldn't like the 40% of people didn't vote in the last election, and you know it's going to happen again. You know they're the apathetic voters. What does it take? What does it take for every single voter to get involved? Because even from just my young perspective, right? you've got climate change, you've got abortion rights, and you've got the guns. The Democrats are going to ban them. They're going to ban assault rifles. We're going to legalize abortion, and we're going to combat climate change. That should be enough to get every single voter to show up. But why doesn't it? Why? I don't understand. Even the LGBT.
What did I just tell you? You have to minimize your expectation of people's apathy and their inability to understand that you want to know how you know what it is? They don't care. They don't love themselves. These are people that don't love themselves enough to take pride in the fact that I'm an American and I can vote and I can make a difference. And that's really what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Unless you're sick in bed, and even then, you should have asked for a mail-in ballot and whatever, which is why my whole commitment, which is what these Zooms I'm doing and leading into November, is just really promoting the vote. Like, there's been 2 gay prides in Los Angeles this year, right? There was one in West Hollywood and one downtown LA. Not one visual anything of registered to vote. So I called the city of West Hollywood. I'm like, are you kidding, girl?
Yeah, the protesting.
So I have a meeting with them next week because I said, what are your plans for getting first of all, West Hollywood is like the gay city in America.
Oh yeah, the capital, right?
You do something that's very specific to engaging gay people to register to vote, then I would use my social media platform and the people that I talk to promote it so that maybe it would happen in other kind of cities around the country, because gays are not the first ones to vote. They're too busy waiting around for like cocktails and whatever. But we have too much on the line now.
Oh my.
So I said to them, and wait, so they showed me their itinerary for what they wanted to do to register to vote leading into November. And it didn't start till like October. I'm like, you mean you're gonna have the whole summer with no even, and in LA, every Sunday, all the bars become like a big thing. It's called Sunday Fun Day. You don't think once a week you should have some drag queen standing on a corner saying register to vote? What am I doing here?
It's a great idea. The drag, they're coming after drag too, right? That's the new.
Which is exactly why we should be the ones registering them to vote, because it's like the big fuck you.
Do you know?
Anyway, so the thing is, September 20th, just so you know, is part of this whole initiative that I'm involved with.
Okay.
Is National Register to Vote Day. And I want to build everything up towards that, because that's like kind of coming to the end of when you can get away with do that. So they don't even have anything September 20th on their calendar. I said, you don't even have National Voter Registration Day as like an earmarked something, anything?
Yeah.
I'm not looking for a job with you people. I just want to promote what you're doing in the gay community, which is now under fire. Does that make sense? I feel like I'm alone here.
You're like you're talking to the DNC.
It's like the DNC.
It's like, wake up! Your rights are being under siege here.
The thing that was unbelievable when the councilman put me in touch with the woman who's in charge of that division, and we had an email exchange. I said, I just want to do September 20th, whatever. She's like, well, I don't know. It sounds, we're like a .org. We're not allowed to pay. We're not allowed to. We can't. We're nonpartisan. I'm like, registering to vote is nonpartisan.
It's
hello,
dude. They're coming for the right. They attack the Democrats for wanting to get people to vote. Well, that's voter suppression. I don't understand it. I like. It is very. That's what I want to just come back. It's just so simple, man. If people voted based along their beliefs, then the Democrats would win every single election in every single state in every single county.
Well, there's a big thing. None. One of the women, I don't know if you follow her, Heidi Tour, she's Spanish. She's amazing. She's with the Latin community, and she's having a huge war within her community. There are certain people that are mad at the Democrats because we haven't passed an immigration bill yet. It's not for lack of interest or lack of hoping and lack of trying, which is we don't have 60 votes.
Yeah.
And they're still blaming Joe Biden, and they're telling people, they're telling Latino and Latinas not to vote in November. And she's having a huge war with this. So I'm trying to figure out how to help her. I said, like, let's put her in touch with Voto Latino or something, because she needs to go. She needs help because that vote is critical.
Maybe it just comes down to misinformation or like lack of knowledge about how Congress works too, right? Like I've seen a lot of people, they're like, the Biden's not doing anything. I'm like, he can't do anything. He doesn't have the votes.
Biden's done plenty.
And he's
leave the guy alone. I mean, look, to be honest, him and the other fat grandpa, they can all go away as far as I'm concerned. 24, I think it's like fresh start. But
yep.
Until then, we just have to honor what we have, which is he's fighting as hard as he can in this media obsessed, negative media space that we're living in.
It's awful. It's awful. The media is certainly not helping us. We're not helping democracy.
CNN is the most guilty.
They're horrible. CNN is the worst. CNN is pro-Republican.
So guilty. It's sad.
I don't know. It just pisses me off so much, these people. Well, I guess there's nothing you can do about it other than try to get more ratings than them.
Yeah, I mean, those bloviators sitting around pontificating, like, and they're just, the thing is that I actually get more news from TikTok, to be honest, because if it's breaking there. You know what I mean?
It is breaking, yeah.
It's definitely not breaking in the New York Times. The New York Times is like the last one to find out half the shit that's breaking. It's mind-boggling, the New York Times.
Yeah.
It's so slow on the take.
You got to be the TikTok. That's where you blast the news on Twitter.
Like
or whatever.
when the Uvalde shooting happened, and it was already up to like 11 people had been counted not dead. I went to the New York Times. It was like 3 people are and perhaps like, I was like, what?
Oh, they're behind.
Yeah, it was bad. It's bad. So look, the thing is, you have to look at yourself as an opportunity to communicate the best as possible and to just be as honest as possible, which is my philosophy. And that is why I built up this following.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've gotten this traction because I speak from my heart and I share how I feel about things. And I try to be as honest as possible. And of course I try to make people laugh, but
you have to.
That's all you can be. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm trying to be the next, Jake Tapper. You know what I mean?
God forbid.
Yeah, you see, a lot of people on this app are like, the younger people especially have an opportunity to segue what it is next that you want to do. You know what I mean? I'm not looking for a career change on this,
Right.
So I'm committed to just like bitching and moaning and being honest about whatever.
That's what I'm doing too.
And tearing apart Republicans.
Right. Gonna bitch and moan on every platform.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I have no power on TikTok, on Twitter. I did a few years ago, but I got into a war with Candace Owens and I got passed off forever. And then I snuck back in, but to build it up, it's going to take a lot. You have to like focus on getting following, you know what I mean? You have to be consistent, you have to like people and share, and then it's like,
it's a bad environment too. I don't really like looking at any of the social media. I just put output because it's to get the message out.
Right.
This is all going to go away if we lose, but we're going to win though. We're going to win it.
I have to say, you're really a great voice that came out of left field. And I loved seeing that so many people are responding, and you're only in it for 3 months. I mean, I've been, you have to hang in there because you have to look at this as, what do I want to be doing through the 24 election?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Like
you have to look at this as, you want to keep building and doing what you're doing because you have people respond well to you. That's important, especially young people.
Yeah, I hope young people are listening and watching and paying attention. Guys, get out and vote. None of this matters if you don't get out and vote.
Oh, it's like only about voting. Right now it's all about register. And there's this organization in what is it? It's not what Century City. They're based in Century City called the Civic Center. And I'll send you something about. Well, I'm going to talk about it actually on Tuesday. But they're dedicated to getting young people registered. but they work very aggressively with high schools, because once you can register to vote when you're like a junior or, you know, like 16 and a half, you're
Yep.
able to start getting registered so that when you turn 18, you already are registered. And they do this they're really great. I actually experienced them. I did a project with them a few years ago before COVID, leading up, and it was like 2019.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, so there's places that you can find out to promote also as part of your content to get people registered to vote. But register, and then vote.
Right. That's right. That's all that matters. Boom. Abe, I think this was great. Maybe we'll have you back on, hopefully before the country collapses.
Live for talking, but but no, let's just make sure we keep America blue.
Keep America great again.
It's uber
blue.
Now that we're in a fascist mode, it's uber alles.
Oh my God. Yes. They're coming. Hey, they're coming for you guys. They're coming for you.
Yeah, exactly. All right, have a great weekend, and thank you for inviting me. I really keep up the good work. Keep up the good work.
You too, Abe. It matters too. It matters.
Oh, definitely.
Yes, sir.
I mean, we're awesome. It just matters.
Yeah, we're great. We're great. All right, Abe.
Bye.
Great to talk to you. Boom, guys. That's it.